So one of the tenets for us as landscape designers is to think about not only the aesthetic value of the plants, but also their functionality. And so we'll look at a property like this one and see A, what is working, and B, what might need improvement or restoring some of those native functions. We think about the ground as being a sponge for stormwater, for instance. So how do we get there? We can utilize beautiful plants with different root structures to help absorb stormwater, for instance, and also get creative with infrastructure if needed. So we think about kind of that whole system of getting the land to function again since it's been so overdeveloped. The wildlife value of the natives that we use is kind of intrinsic again to that idea of functionality. What's the ecological function of the plant? And then what are those beneficial relationships between the insects, the birds, the mammals, and that plant? And even beyond that, how are we able to use plants to restore soil biology and think about the whole ecosystem? And it starts with plants. We've got winter berries. A lot of plants have seed heads on them, and we don't cut this back at all. This house is a twin, and so all of the water that comes off the roof comes out of 3 downspouts to one side. And so that spills a lot of stormwater out into a very narrow space. So we were challenged with how to redevelop an old concrete sidewalk into something that could also potentially function as a French drain to slow stormwater coming out of these downspouts into a garden space and slowing it down, getting it to spread and getting it to soak back into the ground before it hits the street. When we think about American garden culture or landscapes, one of the most carbon intensive practices is our love for lawns. How do we create some green space that allows kids and pets to have some space to play, but also reduce the intensive, both mechanical and also just like human effort of like taking care of that? So if we work with different species of either fine fescue lawn grasses or different sedges, caryxes, to establish a lawn or a little green space for play that doesn't require mowing each week, we've achieved not only something that has a lower carbon footprint, but also something over time that people get used to a slightly different aesthetic for a lawn. It might not be perfectly trimmed, but it has a nice wavy look, or it fits really nicely into a more naturalistic landscape design. One of the challenges on this property was to also achieve shade. So one of my favorite plants on the property is a pond cypress, Taxodium ascendens. It's a narrower, kind of more wispy form of the bald cypress, doesn't get quite as big, and has insanely beautiful fall color. And so it creates dappled light in a couple different sections of the property. And that coupled with Cornus alternifolia, alternate leaf or pagoda dogwood, is a beautiful understory tree native to this part of the East Coast. And again, it offers this kind of really cool architectural value, but also, again, dappled shade and a food source. After the flower clusters turn to berries, the catbirds go insane on this property.